No. Yeah, Mataji, we can start. It has started.
Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Bhagavad Gita session. Today we are discussing from the 10th chapter entitled, what is it? Opulences of the Absolute Truth. No? 1 second, I'll just check. The Opulences of the Absolute. And today we are discussing from text number 15 to 19, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19. So this is on one beautiful chapter. Okay. In the 9th chapter, towards the end, the very last shloka of the 9th chapter, Krishna says, Manmana bhava madbhakto, like that he says, always think of me, worship me, offer obeisances to me, and meditate on me. By doing so, you will come back to me for sure, like that he says. So, like that he says in the last shloka of 9th chapter, and the 10th chapter is about the opulences of Krishna. The main reason by which is by understanding the opulences, the greatness, the supremacy, the greatness, the opulence of Lord Krishna, the concept of Krishna being the supreme personality of Godhead instills in our heart, and that way we can always remember him, worship him, and that way we can go back to him. So one of the ways to know Krishna and manmana bhava madbhakta, how to meditate on him always, is by understanding his opulence. So that comes in the 10th chapter. And the beginning of the 10th chapter, Krishna says that how he is the source of everything. He is the source of everything. And so Prabhupada explains that how Shravanam, how hearing is an important anga of devotional service, because by regularly hearing about Lord Krishna in the dissociation of devotees, one's faith increases, grows. First is get instilled, and it increases and it grows and reaches to offer, to deepen one's faith in the process of Krishna consciousness. So Shravanam is how it is very important that Prabhupada focuses on in the very first purport of the 10th chapter. And then Krishna says that how is the origin of everything? How is the origin of the demigods, the sages, the manus? Then how is the origin of the creators of the universe? So cause of all causes actually. And interestingly, now if we see demigods, they are the most powerful personalities, and sages are the most knowledgeable personalities. So, and Krishna says that the demigods, the sages, although I am the creator of everybody, nobody knows me in full. And it is very clear that how just by having the greatest power or by having the highest knowledge, one cannot know Krishna. We can know Krishna only by his mercy. Only when he wants to reveal it to us, it is possible for us to know Krishna. And that too, we cannot know him fully. Nobody can claim, nobody can ascertain, nobody can tell by himself, tell whoever, however great he is, that I know Krishna fully. It is not possible. And it's also said in certain references by acharyas that even Krishna says that he cannot know himself fully. So there is no question of we telling that I know Krishna fully like that. But still, the devotees really know better and really know how much they know Krishna to the extent of surrendering themselves to the lotus feet of Krishna. And so that way Krishna tells that how is the origin of everything, and it goes down. And then we have the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, where the nature of bhakta, nature of bhakti, nature of Bhagavan, and how the devotees relish Krishna Katha in association of each other, Tushyanti cha Ramanti cha, like that. And then how we're discussing Krishna Katha, by always remembering Krishna and always meditating on Krishna, how the Krishna dispels the darkness of ignorance, how impurities are cleared from our heart, and jnana deepena bharata, knowledge of understanding, knowledge of devotion to Krishna, knowledge of bhakti towards Krishna, and love towards his devotees arise in the core of our heart. So that is the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita. Now, in this particular section which we are reading, that is between today we are reading from 15th to 19th, but otherwise between 12th to 18th, that particular section, Now Arjuna, when he hears all this from Krishna, and already he has experienced Krishna. He always Krishna was his dear friend, and now during the last 9 chapters, that during that discussion of the Bhagavad Gita, he is understanding more and deepening his understanding with Krishna. And now at this particular juncture, he is overwhelmed with gratitude. He's overwhelmed with love, joy, and happiness and gratitude. And he kind of reaffirms Krishna about his greatness. And he says, it's just not me. The great sages also are in the same page. They are also talking like this. They also say that this is your greatness. And then Krishna, Arjuna, he is trying to say the same things which Krishna already said. And now in the 15th, today we are reading the 15th one, but when we see in the 14th verse, 14th verse, Krishna says that, Arjuna says that, what is this? Oh Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Neither the demigods nor the demons, oh Lord, can understand your personality. Now, the very same thing Krishna told in the second shloka also of this chapter only. He said is um, second shloka says, neither the host of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of demigods and sages. So Krishna says in the second chapter, the second shloka, that nobody can know me fully. And now Arjuna also tells in the 15th chapter, yeah, nobody can know you fully. Now how is Arjuna telling? He's reaffirming, he's reinsuring, he's like, after realization, he said, yes, it is not possible to know you fully, it is not possible. Now he's completely absorbed that thought, he's completely convinced that faith has entered deep in his heart about the glories of Krishna. And so he's so overwhelmed, overjoyed, and so happy. And so he's talking, and he's now this particular chapter, the vibhutis of Krishna are asked by Arjuna to tell. Means Arjuna is asking Krishna to reveal his opulences. He's like, means how, that we will read in the shlokas, that tell us more about him. Tell us more about you. Tell us more about you, so that every common man can understand you. Means now sometimes it happens, so we have experienced something, and if we are a little compassionate soul, we want that experience to be experienced by others. In short, if we say that, like, if we have experienced the happiness of Krishna consciousness, even though we are not, as in now example Srila Prabhupada, he knew what the path which he has taken is the path, because otherwise there is no hope for the people of Kali Yuga to know anything about the spiritual world, about Krishna Loka. It is not possible, because in the regular way of life, if we are leading, even though we are coming from pious families, and even though to some extent some kind of Shastra reading, or reading some mantra and all that is there in our habit, even though if it is there, but still, um, to to be on a path which by following sincerely and seriously can give us the highest result, can give us the zenith of, means there is nothing beyond that which we can aspire for, which can reach that path we are on. Now how sincerely we want to tread that path, it depends on us. But because Prabhupada was very what you say, confident about that path, and he had that knowledge, and he knows that it is possible through the path of Krishna consciousness, one can perfect his life. So he was overwhelmed with the thoughts that how to share it with common people. So he took all that hardship. So he really took the greatest risk in his life, and we know everything else is history. So similarly, so all the great devotees from Arjuna to Prabhupada to everyone in between, and little if we say ourselves also, little if we know, and if we are little compassionate, and we want to little share it with us, and we want to say, you know what, this is actually not you, see, please, if you can try, if you can do it, because we feel that yeah, they are not understanding, but actually there is bliss in this. But because we are not expert preachers, or because we are not so much compassionate also, or so much we are not dependent or surrendered on the Lord, we just keep quiet. But sometimes we are convinced with the process, but when we hear others speaking to us where they are not so convinced, then we may not be able to convince them, but in our heart we feel that yeah, they don't know it, but this path is very convincing. So similarly, Arjuna is overwhelmed with thoughts, and so he is asking Krishna to explain his different opulences. So that is what happens between 15 to 18. Krishna Arjuna is still expressing, and from the 19th shloka onwards to the end of the chapter, Krishna explains some of his vibhutis, because his qualities, his vibhutis, his opulences, his pastimes, his glories are ever increasing. They are like the waves in an ocean, unlimited and ever expanding and uncountable. So it is not possible for Krishna himself to explain all his opulences, but the most primary, most important, the most apparent opulences are listed by Krishna on request of Arjuna. So what we will do now is we will read through 15th shloka. So I will share my screen now. Yeah, I saw that time Padma Mataji was there. I can't see her now. Okay, Shilpa Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji, Danvat Pranam.
Dhanavad.
Tvayamevātmanātmānam vetta tvam puruṣottamah bhūtabhavan bhūtesha dev eva tagatpate. Hare Krishna Mataji. Should I read the translation?
Yes.
Sorry. Translation by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Indeed, you alone know yourself by your own internal potency, O Supreme Person, origin of all, Lord of all beings, God of gods, Lord of the universe.
So
Should I read
Krishna,
Sorry.
1 second. Arjuna says hereby that, oh Krishna, because previous verse he actually has accepted that reality, and he's sometimes if we accept the reality, we keep on repeating the same things. So he said that, yeah, nobody can understand you fully. It is not possible to know you fully. Only you can understand. That's what Arjuna is saying. Yeah, he was completely realized, and now he's saying, yeah, only you can understand yourself. So you read the purport, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. The Supreme Lord Krishna can be known by persons who are in a relationship with him through the discharge of devotional service, like Arjuna and his followers. Persons of demonic or atheistic mentality cannot know Krishna. Mental speculation that leads one away from the Supreme Lord is a serious sin, and one who does not know Krishna should not try to comment on Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is a statement of Krishna, and since it is the science of Krishna, it should be understood from Krishna as Arjuna understood it. It should not be received from atheistic persons.
Now, one second. So what happens is, so here is saying that the main quality, see, one thing is we are not knowing Krishna. That is okay. We can always know about Krishna. Another thing is to be envious of Krishna. Talking against devotees, doing Vaishnava aparad, or talking against the personality of Lord. So that is a serious sin, and that with that we may glide down in our devotional service. So that is something we should be very careful of. If we don't know something, we can always get to know. We can always pray, we can always ask, we can always take association of devotees, and we can know. So that is not problem. The problem is if we are envious, and sometimes unfortunately some people talk against Krishna. This Srila Prabhupada had faced during his time also, because the purpose which Srila Prabhupada gives in the Bhagavad Gita, there are many people who are very challenging about it, because Srila Prabhupada very much
ક્લાસમાં છું હું કોલ કરું તમને હા આવી ગયા મસાલા
so Prabhupada was very much open about devotional service. So in almost every purport he was mentioning about devotional service, and people were against it actually. So that is what Prabhupada is writing, is if we cannot talk, because Bhagavad Gita is a great science. It's a great science, and Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. There is no doubt about this. If we don't know, we need to know that. That's all we can do. We cannot be envious of it. By that, if we do, we'll glide down in our devotional service. Yes, Mataji, you can continue. Shilpa Mataji. Okay, I'll read. Vadanti tat tattvavidas tattvam yajnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti shabdyate. The supreme truth is realized in three aspects. the impersonal Brahman, Paramatma, and last is Supreme Lord. So at the last stage of understanding the absolute truth, one comes to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A common man or even a liberated man who has realized impersonal Brahman or localized Paramatma may not understand God's personality. So, see now when we say that Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, the Lord of the universe, He is an energy, He is the light, the sun, the moon. All those things are still possible to some extent to understand. So we have the concept of the Virat Rupa, which is imaginary, but it is easily relatable with common men. But what happens is when we say that, you know what, the Lord is the Paramatma in the heart, that concept is also still digestible. It is still perceivable. But the point where we say that Krishna is the Bhagwan feature of the Lord, the two-handed feature of the Lord, the Shamsundar form of the Lord, that becomes very hard for common man to understand, because the common man cannot fit that thing in his brains. Because if we say Bhagwan the personality, then it unfortunately becomes that we try to compare him with us, but we are not equal to him. And then when we compare with him, then with our limited brains and logical brains, it starts puts across so many questions. And then to relate that beautiful boy is actually the source of everything that exists, and that is a very difficult thing to fit in. So it is said that a common man or even a liberated man who has realized impersonal Brahman or Paramatma may not understand Lord's personality. Such men, therefore, may endeavor to understand Supreme Lord from the verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is spoken by this person. So, the same Lord, when he speaks about his opulences in the Bhagavad Gita, and that time things are more revealed, and it is easy, and more easy by understanding the purpose of the Acharya. Sometimes the impersonalists accept Krishna as Bhagwan, or they accept his authority. Yet many liberated persons cannot understand Krishna as Purushottama, the supreme person. Therefore, Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. See, now here in the shloka, if we say, see, Swayam evatmanatmana vetatvam Purushottama Bhuta Bhavana Bhuteshva Deva Deva Jagatpate. Like that, Arjuna is calling him with different names. So he's telling that you are the supreme person, the origin of all, Lord of everything. So sometimes it happens. Now, say now, if we are very much convinced with something, and we want to tell about that thing. See, now you went to that some product, if it is, then we want to tell all the aspects of that product. That is a very raw example. But when it comes to Supreme Lord, now Arjuna's heart is completely filled with Krishna's thought, and the greatness of Krishna, the love of Krishna, the depth of Krishna consciousness, and now wants to express. So he's trying to glorify him in all aspects. So he's telling, so you see here, Arjuna addresses him as Purushottama. Purushottama means the supreme person. Yet one still may not understand that Krishna is the father of all living entities. In all aspects, Krishna is there. So as a supreme person, he says, you are Purushottama. Then he says, you are Bhuta Bhavana. That means father of all living entities. Then he says that you are Bhutesha. That means you are the supreme controller. Bhuta Bhavana, supreme controller. Then Purushottama. Then he says that, then people may say that then he said Deva Deva, you are the origin of demigods also. And then he'll say that Jagatpati, you are supreme proprietor of everything. So there are big list, still many more names are there. Arjuna is also having, but a few of them, but he says that Purushottama, Bhutesha, Bhuta Bhavana, and Jagatpate, Deva Deva, like that he says. And that's the truth about Krishna is established. So also it says that when we are meditating and when we are thinking about Krishna, there are so many beautiful names of Krishna based on his Leela, Mukunda, Murari, Govardhan, the Giridhari, Vamsidhari. So many things are there. When we chant the different names of Krishna, we can immediately in a glance we can feel the different pastimes of Krishna, and that way we can instill our heart and love for Krishna actually. So this is also one way of meditating on Krishna. And we'll go to the next verse.
Mataji, 1 minute, Mataji, why they call localized Paramatma? Localized, what does it mean?
Localized means in every heart. Everybody's heart, Paramatma is there.
Okay, Mataji, thank you.
Paramatma in everybody's heart. Subbarao Prabhuji, 10:16.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Vaktum वक्तुमर्हसि अशेषेण दिव्या ह्यात्मविभूतया याभिर्विभूतिभिर्लोका इमां त्वां व्याप्य तिष्ठसि. Translation. His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada, Jai Srila Prabhupada. Please tell me in detail of your divine opulences by which you pervade all these worlds.
So here Arjuna is telling that now he is about his divine opulences. Arjuna is very well known. Arjuna knows, but he wants the common people to understand. He wants somehow to attract everybody's heart to the lotus feet of Krishna. So that is his objective. So he's telling Krishna that please tell your divine opulences. By hearing so, everybody's heart gets satisfied and everybody develops that love towards you. So that is his great objective. He is full now. He is very happy. He is overwhelmed and he is ready to surrender his life. And so in that love, he's telling, please tell more about yourself, like that. So Prabhupada also tells in the purport the same thing. Yes, Prabhupada, you can read the purport also.
Purport. In this verse, it appears that Arjuna is already satisfied with his understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. By Krishna's grace, Arjuna has personal experience, intelligence, and knowledge, and whatever else a person may have. And though all these agencies he has understood Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. For him, there is no doubt. Yet he is asking Krishna to explain his all-pervading nature. People in general and the impersonalists in particular concern themselves mainly with the all-pervading nature of the Supreme. So Arjuna is asking Krishna how he exists in his all-pervading aspect through his different energies. One should know that this is being asked by Arjuna on behalf of the common people.
Yeah. So, so what happens is for the common people, as we were discussing, if we say that yeah, Krishna is there, he's playing with his gopas, his gopis, and the devotee, he's waiting for us in the spiritual world. Every word is a song. So these kind of may not be so much appealing to the, because we are very gross materialists. Then it becomes very hard to think about it. But when we say that, when you see the sun, the moon, the mountains, the trees, the huge, when we see something big, we can relate it with the chest of the Supreme Lord, the face of the Supreme. Like that, when we match with the material things, with the opulences, with the energies of the Lord, or we can say that this is the energy of the Lord. That is that when we see something very beautiful, that beautiful thing is nothing but Krishna's energy. So that time a common man, because when he goes to hill station, he sees a very beautiful scenery, then he can connect with Krishna if he has that knowledge. So that way, with all the beautiful things, with all the great things, with all the special things of this material world, Arjuna is telling Krishna that you relate, you express your energies. That way, a common man will also be able to attract to you, get attracted to you. And once we get attracted to Krishna, then automatically then everything else becomes detail. That is how you worship him, how you meditate him, how you are chanting his holy names. All that comes. Underlining factor is our heart should be attracted towards Krishna. So then that has to be established basically. Next one, Mataji. Next one is Swati Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Yeah.
Kantam vidyam aham Khatam vidyam aham yogim tvam sada chintayan keshu cha bhaveshu chintosi bhagavan maya. Translation by Srila Prabhupada teaches. O Krishna, O Supreme Majesty, how shall I constantly think of you? And how shall I know you? In what various forms are you to be remembered, O Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yeah, again, this is an extension of the thought and the question of Arjuna, that satatam chintayantoma means every constantly, uh, incessantly, we are supposed to, ideally supposed to think of Krishna in all aspects. So the process of Krishna consciousness which Prabhupada has given, like if it's a temple, if you're connected with closely with temple, then we have the morning program, we have from Mangalarti, Nasimarti, then we have Japa session, then we have Darshanarti, then we have Guru Puja, then we have Bhagavatam class, and then in the afternoon again the Rajbhog cooking, then the Rajbhog Aarti takes place. Then evening we have the Sandhya. Before Sandhya we have the Vaikalika Bhoga, that's 4 o'clock offering, then Aarti, then Tulsi Puja, then morning also Tulsi Puja, then evening we have Bhagavad Gita class. So the whole program is set in such a way that always you are revolving around of something or other doing for Krishna. Because between after completing the Bhagavatam class, and if you have Rajbhog cooking, it's just immediate we have to start, and then immediate there's the Rajbhog finishing will happen. By the time you clean up the kitchen, then there is some little time, then you have again the evening for 4 o'clock offering starts. The point is the design which Prabhupada has made is very much apt for a person of Kali Yuga. That is, even if he wants, he cannot forget Krishna. Like that he has made. So if you are little sincere, even if you feel that naturally and automatically my heart is not attracted to Krishna, which is true to many of us, but we are very assured of the process of Krishna consciousness, and we want to get it, even if we are not yet there. And if you're a little sincere, and if you just do it for the sake of doing everything very sincerely, it is just a question of time that Krishna is always in our heart. Krishna is always instant in our heart. Then what happens is, one day if you are not able to cook, then we think of Krishna. And Lord, a few days we have left our deities, then we think of them. We consider them as part of us. We, in every aspect of our life, he is connected. That time it is not an artificial installation of Krishna consciousness in our heart anymore. So we want every day morning we want to chant our japa sincerely. Then we want to beg to Krishna. Everything else follows. We want to get more deeper in our Krishna consciousness. But just by following the process of Krishna consciousness, naturally and automatically, entire day we are with Krishna. So that's exactly what Arjuna is asking: how to know you, how to remember you, how to constantly think of you, like that. It was Swati Mataji. You read the purport also, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Purport.
Yeah.
As it is stated in the previous chapter, the Supreme Personality of Godhead is covered by his Yoga Maya. Only surrendered souls and devotees can see him. Now Arjuna is convinced that his friend Krishna is the Supreme Godhead, but he wants to know the general process by which the all-pervading Lord can be understood by common men. Common men, including the demons and atheists, cannot know Krishna because he is guarded by his Yoga Maya energy. Again, these questions are asked by Arjuna for their benefit. The superior devotee is concerned not only for his own understanding but for the understanding of all mankind. So Arjuna, out of his mercy, because he is Vaishnava devotee, a devotee is opening for the common man the understanding of all pervasiveness of the Supreme Lord. He addresses Krishna specifically as Yogin because Sri Krishna is the master of the Yoga Maya energy, by which he is covered and uncovered to the common man. The common man who has no love for Krishna cannot always think of Krishna. Therefore, he has to think materially. Arjuna is considering the mode of thinking of the materialistic persons of this world. The words keshu keshu cha bhaveshu refer to the material nature. The word bhava means physical things because materialists cannot understand Krishna spiritually. They are advised to concentrate the mind on physical things and try to see how the Krishna is manifested by physical representation. Hare Krishna Mataji, thank you.
Yeah, that makes. No, actually, that's exactly the mentality, the thought of a pure devotee. That exactly was the thought of Srila Prabhupada also. Thinking in terms of a very common raw materialistic person. Even a raw materialistic person, how can he get connected to Krishna? So that is how Krishna Prabhupada established the Krishna consciousness movement. When we see his Lilamrit, when we read the Lilamrit in the New York days, when he was in New York, how did he? They were very, very crude people. They were. So here we are very crude in our understanding. At least by look, we are not so crude, maybe. So they were the real crude people, and that is, but he attracted their hearts. One of the main reasons how he could attract, because he himself was a pure devotee of the Lord, and Lord as Paramatma is in the heart of every living entity. That is one thing, and sincerely his deep compassion, his deep love for all the common people, understanding that everybody should get the benefit of Krishna consciousness. That was a deep compassion which we had, which he had, and there was no question of them knowing anything about Krishna, but by giving them Krishna Prasad, because he understands that a common materialistic person, everybody is thoughtful about their stomach. From a pure devotee, from a common man, we can also, for now, also for practicing devotees, advanced devotees, all devotees, so Prasad is something which attracts the heart actually. So, so he served them gulab jamuns. He served them food. He served them prasad, Krishna prasad, by which people were attracted because they just came to have prasad. And by regularly connecting with the prasad and with the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada, then they really paused themselves and they paused to hear more. What that pure devotee who is giving us this much, this nice food, what is he telling? Let's hear. And then by seeing the compassion, the genuine love, by experiencing the feeling the love of Srila Prabhupada, they they developed faith towards Prabhupada before Krishna. Before Krishna, they developed faith towards Prabhupada, and then they sat and then they heard what he said, and still they could not understand what he was telling, but they understood that this person is very good. He is very truthful. He is very compassionate. He is our true well wisher. And if we follow him, he will be pleased. And he is telling that we will be satisfied. And if that is so, let's just do it. That was the initial group of people who created wonders in our Krishna consciousness movement, actually. So his heart was like Arjuna only. And now Arjuna is posing questions to Krishna for common people like you and me, so that how a common materialistic person gets attracted towards Krishna. Okay, next one we will go. Padma Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Vistarenatmano yogam vibhutim cha janardana bhuya kataya triptihi shranvato nasti memritam. I'll read the translation also. O Janardana, again please describe in detail the mystic power of your opulences. I am never satiated in hearing about you. For the more I hear, the more I want to taste the nectar of your words. Thank you, Mataji.
So this is very interesting. I am never satiated in hearing about you. So that is the actually the thought of pure devotees, very advanced souls. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha, when Krishna is telling, that is what exactly happens between devotees. They are never satiated in hearing Krishna Katha. They always relish. They relish the, it's so happy feeling actually. It's such much relishable to hear about Krishna, because the soul is satisfied, because the soul is eternally a subservient of the Supreme Lord. But under a material conditioning, we have made it to be a materialistic thing. And so it is kind of getting attracted to the material thing, but then it is not satisfied, and always the soul is unsatisfied, and that result we are also always unsatisfied. See, now yesterday we had a Nashinga Chaturdashi festival. It really gave that one very nice spiritual experience. It may not be there always throughout that rest of my life, that may not be case, because we are so much conditioned, and unfortunately this material world throws so many situations, and we take those situations more deeper than the experiences we felt, and that may be there, but at least we can remember that this Nashing Chaturdashi, that 2023, that was so nice. At least that experience is deepened in our heart. So the point is unless Tushanti Charamanch, even if we consider they are the pure devotees, even that is not there. We as Chota Mota sadhana bhaktas, practicing devotees, trying to be a little sincere, trying to be a little deeper in our Krishna consciousness, trying to hear, trying to be little more regular. If we are, when we are little sincere also, still, so we have experienced that when when it comes to some festivals, or when it comes to some seniors taking class, or some katha series or something, we really want to go here and taste the nectar that is there. That attraction to do that is there. That comes because uh, even if that concept of I am never satiated is not there, but that we have experienced that the joy of Krishna consciousness. We all have experienced the joy of Krishna consciousness. We all have experienced the joy of serving together, of hearing together, of honoring prasad together, of kirtan together. That joy is there, and something we try to look forward for. So that is a little subset of the never getting satiated, but the highest thing is always in bliss, talking about Krishna. That is the highest thing. So Arjuna is experiencing that. Arjuna is experiencing that he has already relished Krishna. He's already understood. He's already full in understanding of Krishna. But still, one thing is he is asking for the common people to know about Krishna. So that he's asking Krishna to tell about his opulences. And also that when he is hearing, first he has to hear. No, that is then when Krishna here speaks, he will hear, and same words even the common people will hear, no, later, like that. So when he is asking that questions, he is looking forward for Krishna to tell, so that that nectarine words enter his ear and his heart is filled with joy. So he is looking forward to hear about Krishna's opulence also more and more. Although the main objective is to serve common people, he himself is very much relishing, and there is no end to his relishing. So that is so we can always pray that because this Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam and all, we are supposed to be never satiated level, never being satiated. But at least to begin for, if we have a regular practice of hearing and reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and similarly other Srila Prabhupada books, then there is a day not very far where we will reach the stage where we every day really want to looking forward to read, and then reaching a stage where we always constantly want to relish and discuss it with others. And that is the highest level. That is actually which we are supposed to do. So that is what here Arjuna is telling. Mataji, you will read the purport also. Padma.
Can I read,
Yes,
Mataji?
Yes, yes.
Okay, let her read, Mataji. It's okay.
No,
Who was
Mataji, you read,
reading
Mataji.
otherwise? It was not Padma.
I was reading, Mataji. I read the sloka and the
I?
purport and the translation. Padma, I read, Mataji.
Padma only, na? Yeah, that.
Yeah, so let her read. It's okay.
No, Mataji, you can read, Mataji, Padma Mataji.
Okay. A similar statement was made to Sutta Goswami by the rishis of Naimisaranya, headed by Shaunaka. That statement is Vayam Tuna Vitrapama Vitrapyama Uttama Sloka Vikrame Yaschana Vatam Rasanyanam Swadu Pade Pade. One can never be satiated even though one continuously hears the transcendental pastimes of Krishna, who is glorious by excellent prayers. Those who have entered into a transcendental relationship with Krishna relish at every step the descriptions of the pastimes of the Lord. Srimad Bhagavatam 1.1.19. Thus, Arjuna is interested in hearing about Krishna, and especially how he remains as all-pervading Supreme Lord. Now, as far as Amritam nectar is concerned, any narrations or statements concerning Krishna is just like nectar. and this nectar can be perceived by practical experience. Modern stories, fiction, fiction and histories are different from the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, in that one will tire of hearing mundane stories, but one never tries to hear, but never
Tires.
tries of hearing about Krishna. It is for this reason only that the history of the whole universe is replete with references to the pastimes of the incarnations of Godhead. The Puranas are histories of bygone ages that relate the pastimes of the various incarnations of the Lord. In this way, the reading matter remains forever fresh despite repeated readings. Thank you, Mataji.
Yeah. So because it is connected with Krishna, the same pastimes, when we hear again and again, it remains fresh and fresh. And the more emphatic, clear example of this, during Lord Chaitanya's time, when he used to go to the Tota Gopinath temple, and he used to discuss with Gadadhar Pandit. They used to read the Srimad Bhagavatam, and when it comes to Prahlad stories or when it comes to Dhruva stories, Gadadhar Pandit would read, and this was repeated yesterday also. Yesterday being Asima Chaturdashi, about Prahlad Maharaj, when it was discussing this thought, this particular thing the speaker said. So when Gadadhar Pandit would read Prahlad's pastimes, and Lord Chaitanya would say, read it again. So that way, they were relishing Prahlad's pastimes, Dhruva's pastimes, for like 1,000 times he would read it, the same pastimes. For us, once only is little difficult, 2-3 times means we feel that we know it, because that is because for us, everything is not nave, everything is not new in our condition. In our condition, at least we should read it. But actually the devotees really relish it, and so they used to get into so much ecstatic mood when they are reading Prahlad's pastimes, Dhruva's pastimes, that they used to soak in tears, and the tears used to fall on the words of the Srimad Bhagavatam, because it is that kind of written in ink, they kind of get smudged. So that was the level of drowning in the nectarian pastimes of the Supreme Lord. And here one more concept Srila Prabhupada brings, that when it comes to mundane stories, like suppose some movie gets hit, and some movie songs also get hit, and of late there is no movie songs, some sound it is. But even if it is a movie song which had some meaning in the past or whatever, that goes on for some time, for like maybe a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. But after a month or so, there is no nectar in that. Then it is that it looks so okay. I know it. So what it is, that little we feeling nice about those repeating those lines is just there for 1 week, 2 weeks maximum. That too, those are very much inclination towards music. After 1 month, it's only headache only, and now too nobody knows about it. And you forget about, then that is the songs, and forget about the people. That people, their faces are look so miserable now. Whoever the beauty queens, the beauty kings of those times, now they look so miserable. That is the reality of the mundane world. That is the reality of the mundane world. It is not ever beautiful, ever youthful like Lord Krishna or Lord Krishna's pastimes. So that is the reality of our unfortunate situation, actually. So this is the last verse for today. And somehow today, now when I'm seeing this participant list, I'm not able to see who raised their hand first or second. Somehow I'll say, I'm not seeing anybody's hand actually now. I was seeing, somebody wants to read 19th shloka.
Can I read, Mataji?
Yes, Sudha Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Dandat Pranam. Shri Bhagavanuvach Antate Katayishyami Divya Hyatma Vibhutayah Pradhanayatah Kurushe Pradhanayatah Kurukshetra Shreshta Nastyato Vistarasya Me. Translation by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Yes, I will tell you of my splendorous manifestations, but only of those which are prominent, O Arjuna, for my opulence is limitless.
Yeah,
Purport
so
by
here,
the
one
okay,
second.
okay.
So here, uh, up to 18th verse, Arjuna is speaking. He's opening his heart and requesting Krishna. And on the 19th verse and 45th verse, I guess, Krishna is speaking about his opulences, where he is mentioning only his important opulences because most prominent opulences, because as we discussed already, his opulences are limitless. It is like the waves of the ocean never ending. So Krishna says that, okay, I will mention of some of my prominent opulences. Yes, Mataji, you read the purport.
Hare Krishna. Purport by His Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. It is not possible to comprehend the greatness of Krishna and his opulences. The senses of the individual soul are limited and do not permit him to understand the totality of Krishna's affairs. Still, the devotees try to understand Krishna, but not on the principle that they will be able to understand Krishna fully at any specific time or in any state of life. Rather, the very topics of Krishna are so relishable that they appear to the devotees as nectar. Thus, the devotees enjoy them. In discussing Krishna's opulences and his diverse energies, the pure devotees take transcendental pleasure. Therefore, they want to hear and discuss them. Krishna knows that living entities do not understand the extent of his opulences. He therefore agrees to state only the principal manifestations of his different energies. The word pradhanyatah, principle, is very important because we can understand only a few of the principal details of the Supreme Lord, for his features are unlimited. It is not possible to understand them all. And vibhuti, as used in this verse, refers to the opulences by which he controls the whole manifestation. In the Amara Kosha dictionary, it is stated that vibhuti indicates an exceptional opulence. The impersonalists of pantheists cannot understand the exceptional opulences of the Supreme Lord, nor the manifestations of his divine energies. Both in the material world and in the spiritual world, his energies are distributed in every variety of manifestation. Now, Krishna is describing what can be directly perceived by the common man. Thus, part of his variegated energy is described in this way. Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So the idea is it is not the idea, it's not the thought of a devotee that, yeah, I will know Krishna properly now. Everything I need to know about Krishna. So in that mode, he is not asking. Idea is they also relish. They also relish in understanding, hearing, discussing, and they feel the joy, the happiness, the fulfillment by discussing and sharing about Krishna. One thing, and second thing is the regular common people, it is very difficult, very hard to understand the opulence or the power of Krishna, the vibhutis of Krishna, the power and the beauty of Krishna. It is very hard to understand. So Krishna will give something which is more relatable, more easier to understand. There are unlimited aspects of Krishna's greatness, but some deeper aspects we cannot connect. So something which a common man can connect, that is what Krishna is going to explain further. And also in the beginning, what he said is, as we were discussing, we even it is very difficult for our in our limited brains to fit the unlimited. Only when we are surrendered, when we through our faith, through our understanding with the Shastra, that we can try to understand Krishna to some extent. We have faith in his opulences, so when we hear, we don't work it out logically, and we try to digest it and relish it. To some extent it will happen that time. But if we try to question every aspect of what we have heard and try to understand, fit in our logical, limited, small, contaminated brain, then it's not possible to know anything about Krishna, because Krishna chooses to hold himself back or give himself. So only through surrender, only through Lord's mercy, only through hearing, chanting, and serving the devotees of the Lord, having complete faith on the acharyas, it is possible to know Krishna to some extent. Thank you very much. Grantra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Samaveta Bhaktivinoda ki jai. Any questions or any comments? or any reflections?
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Uh,
Yes.
So, Mataji, this is not a question, something related to today's topic, but in general, when I go to Veda base and select the book, either the Bhagavad Gita or Bhagavatam, in Bhagavatam, I see only the text available and not the verses in Sanskrit.
No, we have to go. We have that text one. You see text one, text two, text three. No, that text one is a link that which can be clicked. What is here outside is the what is here outside is only the translations. So when you click on the word text one, that's a link. When you click that, you'll get the Sanskrit, the translation. Then you get one word meaning per part.
Okay. Got it, Mataji. Thank you so much, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Anything else? Mataji, Lakshmi Mataji. Bhuvana Mataji, na?
Yeah, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. We have ended the session. I mean, class.
Yeah, Mataji. Yeah, Mataji. If no doubts, then we can end, Mataji. Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so much.
Hare
Wonderful
Krishna.
session.
Dandavats.
Lakshmi Anand Mataji. Mataji. Are you there, Mataji? Okay. Thank you so much. I'll end the session, devotees. Thank you so much.